Well, the dudes, happy Thursday. Wanted to pop in, give you a little closing market update. Today's been a day. Lots of stories, lots of things to talk about. And I am happy to share them with you. So let's, without further ado, dive in head first. Lots of things anyway. Corn market finished up 3, pretty much across the board. December board finished at 4.20 3/4. Wheat finished up a penny. Your September contract finished at 541.5. It traded down to 535, which has been recent support. Before it did find some buying and came back and finished up right around what has been, well, it was first support and then it failed, so now it's resistance. Yay! Kansas City wheat finished up a nickel. It finished at 528.5. Spring wheat finished up, down 2 cents, 2.5 cents, finished at 585.5. November beans finished up a penny and a half at 10.24 1/4. Soybean oil finished up about 50 points, 50 cents. And soybean meal was down a couple bucks there. Crude oil is trading higher currently. The dollar's a little bit higher after being lower and then higher and then lower again or something like that. And so here we are. So big stories of the day. First things first, export sales were solid again. The U.S. continues to capture business. New crop sales are good. Another 700,000 metric ton of new crops sold. Another 600,000, almost 700,000 of old crops sold. And then shortly after that, my dog just barreled in here like a bull into a china shop, I guess. I shut the door and should have known better. But shortly after that, after the decent export sales number for corn, we got a flash sale that China had bought bushels. Lots of excitement, lots of fireworks, lots of people being like, holy shit, that's a big deal. And then shortly thereafter, I got like a little DM and Twitter where people are like, wait, that's probably not the case. It sounds like it was a misreport. And so it was a misreport. It went to South Korea, the official sale. There were 2 additional sales, one for old crop, one for new, that went to unknown, that I don't know if they necessarily matched what the Korean tender size was. And so they could have still went to China, but whatever. And anyway, any event, South Korea buying is just as good. Not just as good because China is psychological. South Korea does buy from the U.S., naturally or whatever. But, South Korea buying from the U.S. is also a positive sign, simply because Brazil should be eating our lunch right now with the crop as big as what everyone said it was going to be. Like, we should be drowning in Brazilian corn, and we're not. But so that was kind of the excitement to start the day. We were up 5 on the open before things, kind of slowed back down and we backed off and then, finished up 3 cents. The other thing that we're really seeing and I have to be careful, because not only are we living in an echo chamber, in this industry, especially, like if anyone steps out and says, yeah, I know that market consensus is X, but I'm kind of looking at this and thinking, why? Everyone's like, burn the witch. Last year when I said I was bullish corn the second week of September and posted my article on Bar Chart, I had people accuse me that I was trying to drum up subscriptions and things of that nature, and so you always have to be a little careful not to come out and say things too crazy. But I am seeing a lot of this wrapped tassel, these poor pollination issues happening in areas that aren't being discussed necessarily by trade. Now, it's being discussed amongst agronomists. It's not just the one genetic hybrid or whatever. I don't even know how to but it's not just the one number. It is several numbers, amongst the whole entire group of what is offered out there. And I've had a couple different agronomists come to me and be like, based on what I'm seeing, where I'm at, what this looks like, on the low end, we're talking 30 to 50 million bushel of production. On the high end, a couple 100 million. Like, this could be one of those sort of quiet yield absorbers. And so we have to be careful, especially, with the market itself genuinely working to price in what feels like a 185 to 187 yield, and everyone feeling really comfortable with their weather-derived wheat yield models and things like that. I think we have to be careful. Simply because I am hearing of issues from folks that were absolutely adamant there weren't issues. Like, people that aren't out here trying to drum up a story are sending me pictures and being like, okay, didn't expect this, but we're seeing it. Saw someone on Twitter do the same thing. It wasn't directly to me, but they posted it too. Wasn't expecting this, was actually expecting to post and tell you guys that you're all full of shit. And turns out, whoops, there is an issue. And so I think we have to be really careful making assumptions about things. The same can be said. I just posted our Brazil conversation, our South America conversation on our YouTube channel. Check it out. The same can be said about what's going on with Brazil's movement. Their market, their cash market should not be inverted. And so I get it. The funds are what the funds are. Crop progress is what crop progress is. Although, do a little research on 2010 and the hot nights we had. A lot of folks, if you hear about crop conditions, you're hearing about 14 and 16, because those years we finished with crop conditions similar to what you're seeing now and were well above trend line. In 2010, we had crop conditions similar to what you're seeing now. We finished below trend line because of the hot nights. And so I'm not trying to drum up a story. I swear to God, I hate myself sometimes for talking about this because no one else really is, other than the agronomists and farmers that I work with. And so I'm definitely not one to sit here and try to drum up this story, but just be careful because we could see sentiment shift. If we do see some of these private estimates come out, private surveys come out, if we do hear, if someone comes out and says, yes, there is an issue with this company impacting this much, but that's not going to happen. No one's going to make that public until we get to harvest. Honestly, we don't know what the true extent will be until we get to harvest. But I get a lot of people saying, the USDA, they aren't going to change anything. We won't know that it's an issue, yada, yada, yada. With the current demand base that we have and how tight we are at the end of the year for old crop when it comes to carry out, if we are down a couple 100 million bushels plus from what we thought we should be or where we think we should be, it will show up in the market. You will see it a lot quicker than in like 19, where we had a lot of stocks to kind of absorb some of this stuff and things like that. It will show. So we'll see. Otherwise, we'll be watching to see if we get any good stuff out of China and the EU. They're currently working on their deal, trade deal wise. The EU and China didn't have the greatest of meetings today, which is good. The enemy of the enemy is my friend. The Japan trade deal, there's some back and forth on whether or not that's even going to be anything. The thing is, it's not about the upping of product that I'm watching with these trade deals. It's just about the fact that, you have more certainty that you can put into play now. Like, that Japan's not going to tariff food if we have some level of trade deal put together. It's not going to impact imports or whatever. So anyway, happy Thursday. I thought this would be like 5 minutes or less. That's what I get for thinking. So have a good one. I'll be back tomorrow.